Would you rather go deaf or blind? A common enough question, and from a rough poll of 30 youngish people, over 2/3 would rather go deaf. That is, until you start telling them what they would miss, and then they become less certain. I asked the same question to both my 90+ grannies, one who's going deaf and one who's going blind, and they both replied the same thing. Whilst they would miss, or do miss, their sight, the isolation caused by deafness was much worse. In fact, my 94-year-old grandmother said of all her bodily functions that were slowly failing, the loss of her hearing is the worst. Our hearing is something we regularly take for granted and are willing to dismiss at the drop of a hat. We regularly abuse it with loud music or noise, forgetting we only get one set of ears, and once they're damaged it's too late. Tinnitus is on the rise in young people, and due to a lack of awareness, it's often caused by loud music at clubs, concerts and from headphones. It's a shame that music, something that gives us such pleasure and relaxation, should be the cause. We all love music and the emotions it creates, but deafness can seem a barrier to this. Or is it? It reminds me of a trip I made with some deaf colleagues to see one of our vice presidents, Vladimir Ashkenazi, practicing with the London Philharmonic Orchestra. My deaf colleague was allowed to go and sit in the middle of the brass section, in front of the big drums. He took off his socks and his shoes and he settled in to feel the vibrations, and whilst we watched, we saw him slowly start swaying in time with the performers. At the end, when I'd asked him if he'd enjoyed it, he said he hadn't realised it was so theatrical. All the facial expressions of the musicians and the body movements gave him such an understanding of the mood of the piece of music, taking him along with its changing feelings. It was this trip and the following discussions that helped us to create a visual music workshop with corresponding software, in which we tried to capture some of the performance of the music and display it visually. We have so far managed to do 2 modules, pitch and rhythm, and we're seeking funding to continue the process. The best bit for me was delivering the workshops in schools and seeing my deaf colleagues working with the deaf students and all of them enjoying learning about music. Watching them experience the different feelings invoked by the performance and the sounds.